Today I will be completing the May 2023 SAT Writing and Language section. This will be part 2 that features questions 23 to 44. Part 1 included questions 1 through 22. Okay, let's begin. 1965, astronomer there she met fellow astronomer Kenneth Ford, who had created a spectrograph, that separates light into a frequency that was capable of amplifying the spectra of galaxies. So kind of they used this instrument separates light, so bright light from dim, right? Bright from dim, dark from luminous. That makes pretty much sense, right? That was capable of amplifying the spectra of a galaxy's dim outer region. You don't say dreary. That's kind of emotional word. Same with monotonous. Weak is usually used to describe a physical feature. Monotonous means dull and boring, repetitive. Yeah, that does not work here. Dreary means also dull, kind of bleak. Yeah, doesn't make sense in this context. Up to that point. So it's saying whatever happened before this point, telescopes could, because it's talking about, it's could, right? Could. We're talking about the past up to that point. So whatever came before this point, telescopes could observe. They could do it. It's the past, right? Yeah, that was pretty easy. Other people were, but I got curious about the outsides. Rubin said. The telescope-mounted spectrograph gave her a chance to pursue this interest, because we're talking about what her interest was, working on the centers of galaxies, but she got curious about the outside, so she decided to work on it. And the spectrograph allowed her to do this, to pursue this interest that she had. You don't have to say in galaxies again. Pursue this interest, not it. It has to be specific. Again, not this interest that she. This is wrong because it's she. We already know who is talking about, whose interest this is. It's Vera's. 26. For 2 years they traveled between Lowell and Capina and the Arizona Sonoran Desert. Semicolon, right? Because they measured the stars. That's independent. And this is independent, so it's incorrect. That has to be a semicolon, not a comma. Yeah, desert, comma. This would be correct because we have the first part that's independent. If we put a comma, measuring the stars on the out, that's dependent, and then it would work. Independent, dependent, you put a comma in between. This is incorrect because you don't put a period between an independent and dependent clause. You have to put a comma. It's incorrect. And again, this is incorrect because you don't put a semicolon which separates two independent clauses between a dependent clause and an independent one. 27. They expected to find that movement within galaxies is like that in solar systems. In our solar system, the outer planets move more slowly than the inner planets because most of the mass of the solar system is concentrated at its center in the sun. Gravitational force weakens with distance, so has less effect. This is correct. Less effect on the motion. And yes, that's because the result of the gravitational force on the motion of an outer planet, right? It's talking about the effect, the result. So it's A. You don't use effect because effect describes the impact or you are having based on the action you're doing, right? So that's incorrect. Effect for, again, incorrect. And effect for, you don't use for. That's the incorrect. That's incorrect word. It's on. Anytime you have an effect, it's on something, not for it. 28. Subsequently, doesn't make sense. Subsequently, that means like to subsequent is a word used to describe what follows, so that doesn't make sense. It should be a similarity word, right? This connects the stars farther away from the center would be expected to move more slowly, right? If they were expected, that means it adds on to what their expectations were. So it's similarity, it's not contrast. It's likewise, yes. Nevertheless, no, there's no contrast to mention regardless or anything like that. Which choice provides the best transition from the period previous to this one? Eventually, Reuben Ford would expand their... I mean... observe that this... Okay, how can you say that they expanded their research to more galaxies when they hypothesized of the new evidence they found? So it doesn't make sense. They didn't expand their research. No, it doesn't make sense. Oh, my bad. That's incorrect. To their surprise, Reuben and Ford found this not to their surprise. Okay, so they didn't expect it, right? Let's see. The answer. Okay, blah blah blah. Reuben and Ford saw no such matter. That's the key word. It shows that they did not expect it to happen. So it did come to their surprise. That's correct. And then that's why it makes sense. That's why they hypothesized the new evidence they found, which was dark matter. Focus on no. What? Yeah, that's the wrong one. Never talked about that. 30. Question 30. They observed that the stars maintain stable orbits of about the same speed no matter how close the stars, right? They were to this. It's pretty easy. Which best sets up the information that follows. After considering and excluding other possible explanations for what they observed, Reuben and Ford hypothesized, yeah, that sounds good, right? Because they wanted to exclude all the other possible explanations because they already had an expectation, right? They wanted to be correct this time. So they considered and excluded all the other possible explanations, and they hypothesized about the new evidence. And then that's kind of what scientists do. They rule out any other possibility, which is why they hypothesize for something in which they expect it to happen. I think that's correct. Since they had studied, how was it well known if there was just new evidence coming up? That doesn't make sense. Before addressing the question of why matter behaved this way, why would you create a hypothesis on something that you didn't even address yet? Usually hypotheses address what kind of element may be or what component may be a factor in your studies. So why would you not account for that in your hypothesis? That doesn't make sense. It just contradicts whatever. Those subsequent theories have argued that these findings never talked about Einstein's theory of general relativity, and never mentioned that in the text. Yeah, that's a really confusing answer. Not a good answer choice. Worst one, actually. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following sentence. The work appeared in a journal that was founded. Let's see. Reuben and Ford published their findings in 1970. Well, they said that they published their findings, right? Their work was initially made as a contribution to astronomy. The work appeared in... There was no point in saying it was appeared in a journal because we already learned that they published their findings, right? Why do we need to know that it appeared in a journal? When something's published, obviously it's going to appear in something, right? We don't... So no, definitely not yes. No, because it did not include enough information. It was not about the information, it was about the publishing. Yeah, a journal, right? It was unnecessary. We didn't need to know that it was in a journal. 33. But it is regarded today as a landmark contribution to astronomy. semicolon. The first discovery of data that were difficult to explain without the existence of dark matter. Okay. I think this is correct, right? You put a independent and then semicolon. That's independent. This is independent. I think it's A. Right. Wait. Okay, let's see the astronomy. Okay, it's definitely not B. No, for sure it's not. Yeah, there's no way. Astronomy, the first, doesn't make sense. You need a, yeah, it would be a run-on if you just let it like that. Okay, why do they put a colon? That's really unusual. Okay, let's see D. Let me tackle C after it. Wait a second. Wait. It's actually C. What? Okay. And I'll tell you how one way I knew it. A semicolon serves the same purpose as a period. So whenever there's a semicolon and a period in two different answer choices, both of them are wrong. So it's actually C. The answer choice is C. Because they both have the same purpose, so how can they both be the same? How can you both have two same answers, right? For the purposes of the SAT, they mean the same thing. So it's a colon, actually. And let's see. Their work was initiated but is regarded today as a landmark contribution to astronomy. Colon. The first discovery of data that were difficult. So, okay, yeah. They're building on this, the work and their contribution to astronomy. And then they expand on how the data was difficult to explain and how their work contributed to the the help to the data that was not like obscure and was not well enough to explain dark matter. So yes, that's good. This was a hard question. Yeah, not gonna lie. That was a good quick way to know that whenever semicolon and a period are in the same answer choices, they are wrong. Maybe I'll make a YouTube short on that. Okay, next message. Fragrance is present. And blah blah blah. Okay, where's the question? Okay. The writer wants to add the following sentence. So, businesses know and use this to sell their products. Okay, so they know and use this. So what do they know and use? They lure them. So they affect our perceptions and behaviors that lure us into the stores. Then we're more likely to buy it, right? So it's not this one. D is too far. No, definitely not. So it's between 2 and 3. In fact, the marketing. So now they're talking about the business side to it, right? The business side. And we say businesses know and use this. So we want to put this before we talk about one of the businesses. So we can expand on it, right? So we could say, like, for example, one of them is. So we want to say it after sentence 2. 35. Creating product with okay, at Colgate, Ariana and her team work. It could take years. At Colgate, Ariana and her team work with outside partners, fragrance houses. Yeah, I think that's fine. Collaborate and work, no, that would mean the same thing. Collaborate, you do work with other people. You interact. Work with external partner. You don't want to say external and then outside. Both the same meaning. They team up and work. Wrong. Both mean the same thing. 36. The fragrance houses apostrophe, right? Chemist, because the fragrance is in possession of the chemist, right? Because the fragrance houses, so in possession. The fragrance is in possession, right? It houses chemist. And yeah. think that's... There's no possession after chemist because it's just describing. So it's not... I think it's C. But it's not this one. It's not this one. And then A. You need possession, right? Because it's the fragrance that houses many chemists. Which is why it's after plural. It houses many chemists. Houses. Okay. That was a weird question. I'm not gonna lie. This is confusing. This houses. But you gotta just think about it. The fragrance kind of is the fragrance houses. The fragrance houses chemists, so they're kind of in possession of the chemist. That way I can explain it. If you didn't understand, I tried my best. But basically, this is in possession of the chemist, and it makes sense because they're in there, kind of like in these fragrance, whatever locations, where they work and like companies and stuff like that. 37. A fragrance, many of whom have earned a graduate degree in chemistry or a related field, comma, and use... Wait. Field. Okay, I don't think it's this one, right? Related field. They use advanced libraries such as gas that separate. Fragrance houses met chemists, many of whom are undergraduate. Okay, so it's a comma here, right? This is like a modifying. Many of them are a related field. So let's say we put it there, right? The fragrance houses chemists use advanced. So we cannot put a comma after field. That doesn't make sense, right? So that wouldn't work for a modifying phrase. So that's out. It could be B again. This one doesn't make sense. No. It's too much punctuation. Wait. Is it? I think it is C though. The fragrance house is chemists, many of whom are in a related field. Wait, it actually could be C. It's not A, is it? I actually think it's this one. Wait. Fragrance houses chemists. Wait, so I don't... Oh, sorry. Houses chemists, many of whom have earned a graduate degree in chemistry or related field, comma. Well, in this case, you need a comma here. So for 100%, it's not A. I'm telling you it's not A, and it's not D. Okay, let's see. B or C. Field. They. You don't want to say they, though. This is wrong. You don't want to say they after a sentence because fragrance houses chemists, many of them are in a related field. Period. And then you wanna expand. You wanna say the chemist, right? The chemist is the same as before. I can't write it down, but let me see. The chemist. Okay, this is my best. I want to see the chemists, right? Because you're starting a new sentence. Chemists use tools such as, I think it's B. C, I mean, sorry. Field, comma, use advanced. So then this must not be a modifying. I must have been confused. Fragrance houses chemists. Oh my god. This is why I got confused. This is not the correct answer. This was the note change, right? I was getting confused. I was thinking that this was part of C. Oh, it is. Never mind. Oh, comma. So there is a comma, yes. Okay, never mind. Many of whom have undergraduate in a related field. Oh, okay, so yes, okay. The modifying ends right here, right? This is when they stop talking about it. Okay, got it. This is again why you cannot use B. And that's why I see. Which choice provides a second supporting example that is most similar to the example in the previous sentence? Those studying to be fragrance chemists must also acquire the ability to communicate with non-scientists. Okay, I don't think it's D. And what was the example in the previous sentence? The fragrance sounds like many of them use advanced laboratory tools such as gas chromatographers that separate and analyze. Okay, wait, it actually might be. No. You want a similar example, right? This is another example. There is no example here. Research? It was not the cost. I think it's D actually. This is another way, right? Because they try to separate and analyze fragrance components, and right, they did this molecular structure, so it's the same purpose. 39. The fragrances they develop can include up to 1,500 chemicals. Let's ignore this. But they must it's but. It has to be. Oh, what? The fragrance they develop can include up to 1,500 chemicals. Although they must. Yeah, that works. Wait. Do we need a comma after a transition, though. Ooh, wait. I don't think you have to put a comma. Although they must understand. I think this is wrong. That's tough. The fragrance you develop can include up to 1,500 chemicals. This is wrong. Of which they must understand. The fragrance they can conduct up to 1,500 chemicals, of which they must understand how these fragrances they develop can. So we're not talking about how those chemicals. You must understand how those chemicals could interact. I don't think you'd see. What? Maybe D. Let's see D. The fragrances developed include up to 1,500 chemicals. They? No, then you have to specify who you're talking about. Definitely not D. 100%. Again, we're stuck between B and C again. This is crazy, this passage, man. B. Let's see. The fragrances that they develop can include up to 1,500 chemicals. So they must understand. I guess that could work. So they must. If they have to understand how these chemicals interact and identify, because they have this many chemicals. So they must understand, because they would have to account for these. I think it's B. I'm not too confident in this one. I'm gonna start this one. Yeah, I'm not too confident in that one. Definitely not. Of which, how much time do I have left? Yeah, I'm probably running out of time. 40. They also rely on the knowledge on its. You don't want to say it's again. Oh, wait. The fragrances, they also rely on on our knowledge of. No, it's not our. That is, I saw in the answer. On its. I think. It's not our. And it's not. once. I think it's there, right? We're talking about the fragrances there. Oh no, wait. The chemist, right? The chemist, yeah, they. So it's there, plural. What choice most effectively combines the sentences at the underlined portion? Once the fragrance house has developed a new fragrance, Colgate-Palmolive and chemists examine it and perform consumer testing. So we're talking about the chemists already. Testing the chemists? No, we don't want to say that. They perform consumer testing to decide whether it works. Yeah, I think that's correct, right? That was pretty easy. Actually, the easiest one. Which choice best supports the claim in the previous about how markets respond to scents? Development requires more than mastery of chemical laboratory methods, however. Oh, my phone just fell. Methods, however. Fragrance chemists are often expected to develop new fragrances that evoke particular emotions such as feelings of happiness or nostalgia. But research shows that the various markers respond differently to the same scent. For instance, in the United Kingdom, many people find the smell of baby powder easier to identify than how markets respond to scents. Brain scans of... No, this doesn't make sense. Brain scans. Okay, we're trying to say that fragrance chemists are often to develop new fragrances that evoke such as feelings of happiness or nostalgia, but research that shown various markers respond differently to the same scent. So it's saying some people might, to the same scent, some people might say it's this, blah, 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 but some people might say it's this, the opposite. So that's what you should get out of this. Because employers are... No, this is wrong. Rising the citrus fragrance is pretty... Yes, this is a contrast. Yes. 43. Such cultural differences mean that successful fragrance need knowledge of product in addition to their scientific and technical skills. Meanwhile? No. We're wrapping it up. You don't say meanwhile. Regardless, so this is nevertheless. Otherwise, you don't want to say otherwise. I think regardless is the best here. Wait. Or it could be, actually, it could be D. Delete the underlined portion. Designing scents that appeal to consumers is similar to crafting a symphony as measure a composer. Yeah, that's good, actually. Wow. Do we need regardless? Regardless. No, because we're not saying... We already wrapped it up here. They need knowledge, right? We're not adding on to this, so we don't need it. It's D. 44. A composer uses musical notes to create an auditory symphony. It's not this. Fragrance symphony. Yeah, I think it's... The answer is B. 2 independent clauses. We're done. 2 independent clauses, so we're finished. We have the independent clause right here. Okay, sorry. Independent clause right here. Right, and then independent clause right here. Yeah, I think that one's correct. The hardest, yeah, this was very tough. This question was tough. This question was tough. This one was not bad. This one was tough. This one was easy. This one was easy. This one was easy. Good. Not bad. This one was easy. Yeah, it was this one. Number 39. I'm finished, but I just want to go back. Of which. So, of the scents we're talking about, right? This is question 39. The fragrances they develop can include up to 1,500 chemicals, of which... No, I don't think that's right. That just sounds off in my head. It doesn't sound good. Of which... But we're already talking about the chemicals, though. Why do we have to say of which? I think that's wrong. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions or anything in the comment section. In the next videos will be the math sections.